Imagine you didn't have breakfast this morning. How would that make you feel?
Hello, Sage. This is Cody. Or how? Wait a minute.
Oh, oh yeah, 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 oh yeah, 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 oh, yeah, 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 check it out. Hear the echo in the night sky, with stars and headlights entwine. Tales of diesel and determination, living life beyond the white line.
There's a stretch where silence roars, sirens hum a solemn tune. Every journey writes a saga in the glow of the highway moon.
Sage Outcast Portales, where the big lows, big roads meet.
Talking miles,
talking metal,
every ridge,
every ride,
every week.
Sage Outcast Portales,
From the yard to the last white line.
if it's trucking and bone,
Deep hustle,
get tuned into that state of mind. Keep the fire
burning bright,
while the world
wave the night,
through the miles,
to the time,
we ride on.
in the endless climb. In the endless climb. In the endless
Sage. I'm sorry. Please don't record this.
All right, we are back. Thank you, Cody, for the introduction there. Anyway, I won't record this. 100% will not record this. Guaranteed. All right, let me do here. I didn't do a Wednesday show this week. Like I said, I was gonna probably go Tuesdays, Thursdays, debating on doing the Wednesday show, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. We will talk about that. I got this going. Right, let's just jump right into it. We're just gonna jump right into this one. Here we go. Oh, I got that fixed. Hello?
Hey,
What?
you are not Kevin Costner.
That's up for debate. That is up for debate. Actually, it's not so much, but we'll figure that out later. All right, so this is Sage from the Sage Outcast Show. Basically, what we do here is we talk politics, we talk trucking, we talk some current events, news, and things like that, which we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about today. I thought I would cover that. Do me a favor, if you come in there, hit the like, hit the subscribe to the channel. That would really appreciate it. For some reason, they did not like my the songs that I did are my songs. I did them with AI, but for some reason it popped up and the YouTube thinks it's somebody else's song. So I'm fighting a copyright thing, which gives me a red check mark, which makes it very difficult to get to the algorithm. So I'm fighting this right now, but so hitting the like and help me out and sharing this out and subscribing to the channel, doing all that type of stuff would be fantastic. Fantastic. I appreciate that. So we have a little bit, we did a reaction video and then they did a reaction video, and I'm going to go back and do another reaction video to the reaction video because, you know, a little bit of back and forth is always good in the world of logistics, because it can kind of be an echo chamber sometimes. If you don't constantly agree with everybody's opinion, either they don't want to talk to you or they boot you out, but they don't really like not looking like, you know, their way is the only way, and that's just what it is, right? And I hear this a lot when it comes to, like, driver shortage and things like that. And when I say, yes, there is a driver shortage, they're like, no, there's not. And then my answer is, okay, well, why do you want to pay drivers more if there's no shortage of drivers? Well, because we need to pay drivers better. Well, and that'll keep them in the industry. So if there's no shortage of drivers, why are you trying to fix a problem that does not exist? Because if there's no shortage of drivers, you don't need to pay more money. We've got enough drivers, right? Paying more money would bring more drivers in. So why are you trying to fix a problem? Things like this. I go back and forth with them, and then they can't answer, and then next thing you know, they don't want to talk to me anymore. But that's completely... Well, they might not want to talk to me for a lot of reasons. That might just be one of the reasons. Oh, it's kind of dark here. Let me turn on my... Oh, my lights are on. Well, that's weird. I'll figure that out later. Oh, I know what I did. Oh, I can't reach it now. That's fine. Okay. So basically, couple things I wanted to kind of cover. Obviously, I'm not sure what the plan is with Iran, but I just thought I'd bring that topic up. Iran, they're doing a missile show, and Pentagon is, I don't know. U.S. moves closer to major war with them, maybe. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. So we're going to keep on the lookout for that. So I'll probably have to cover news and current events on Wednesday from a middle American, middle point of view. But I'll probably start just covering those topics on Wednesdays just from the middle point of view. Also, it looks like the Epstein files, other countries are basically going after the people that are in there, but we are not. Not sure what's going on with there. But the administration is basically just saying, don't worry about those files. Move on. It's over. Nothing to see here. Move along. I don't agree with that. But that's just being said. I don't know. That's kind of the current events that are going on. But that's not what today's show is about. Today's show about logistics, so we will wait for that. Okay. Alrighty, let me do... Oh, I know where it is. It's over here. It is over here. So I'm going to do a little bit of the market information on what's going on. So let me pull up my market chart. I know if you're not in logistics, kind of a boring show, but I'll be clipping this up and putting this out as a recorded show also. Okay. A little bit of market stuff, and then we'll get into the reaction videos and stuff like that. So in regards to the markets, we've got a little bit of information here. Now, this is the overall market right here, is in the kind of the neutral area. That would be for like all the equipment combined. For the longest time, it was not looking good. It was in the loose and soft market, which means way more trucks, too much, and not a lot of freight. So it was very easy to find a truck. You didn't have to pay a lot of money for a truck to get it moved because there was just nothing for them to do. So, and there's way too many trucks out there and not enough freight. Well, looks like capacity, meaning the amount of trucks that are in the market, is going down. Now, it could be, there's some reasoning for this, and we'll talk about that. But we'll go into this. All right. Van is definitely tapering down. I'm not going to lie. I didn't want to hear it, and I know Bobby Loads doesn't want to hear it. I'm going to try to get on his show maybe later. I know he doesn't want to hear that, and it's almost like, don't say that. And I agree. We don't, we want truckers to do good. We want freight to be up there, volumes to be up there, and things like that. But it looks like it's tapering down just a little bit. Reefer's still kind of in the neutral zone, basically, which is about right for this season. Obviously, you're right about now is, it's about right from that season. Flatbed is rocking. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about flatbed, open deck, which flatbed would also, open deck, step deck, hot shot, things like that. So in regards to flatbed, there is a lot of, and overdimensional freight falls into this category also. One of the things that are leading the industry right now, or leading the economy right now, is going to be open deck. And basically, open deck it was his birthday today. You are correct. Open deck is AI. So there's a lot of AI data centers. There's a lot of construction for data centers. And then where there's AI data centers, you need to have power. So there's going to be, hopefully, there should be start to see upgrades in infrastructure for our grids, power grids, and things like that. So when you have a lot of that, when the economy is being literally led, not by consumer spending and not by automotive spending and not by any of that, but being led by AI generation, power plants, data centers, things like that, you're going to have a lot of construction and in regards to those data centers, which means when there's a lot of data centers that are moving, and when the data center gets delivered, you have a lot of flatbed and open deck bringing in other supplies that need to be hooked up to make these things work. So I'm seeing a lot of, in regards to overdimensional freight, data centers and things like that are definitely kicking off OD freight. I've got a buddy who handles 13-axle freight, and they're buying another 13 axle, so they're adding a fifth 13-axle trailer to their fleet. So, sorry. They see that there's enough freight out there that these 13 axles are basically just turning and burning, like just nonstop. Load one, go back, grab another. Load another one, go back, grab another. So that's kind of good. That's a good thing. So when there's 13 axle freight, there's always smaller over-dimensional freight that kind of goes with it, which is a good thing. All right. Again, this is national spot markets. We're at 245 for van, 270 for flatbed, and Jesus Christ, I'm going blind. 290. Oh, good. Now we can all see it better. 294 for reefer. Let me do this real quick. Multitasking. All right. Jesus Christ, I'm blind. I'm blind. These glasses. We need these glasses just to see this stuff. These are my reading glasses so I can see this damn prompt. I'll take these off afterwards. All right. Let's see. Triumph is posting some of the rates that are going up on the 30-day average. Change in different lanes. A little bit of that. That's kind of deep into that type of stuff. All right. We're going to get a little bit of some outbound tender volumes. What is the outbound tender volume? So tender volume is going to be freight. So is freight up or down? So the takeaway from this chart, that freight volumes are up 8% and up 2% from 2025. So we're seeing a little bit more freight kicking off, which should, well, what it is that, which is good, which normally we would have a little bit of a drop off right now because we are middle of February. But maybe, I don't know for sure, this might be a good thing. Trust me, we've had 3 years of a freight recession. So I think it's about time we start to see a little bit of freight volumes picking up. Actually, more than 3 years. Yeah, maybe, what, 20? COVID was 19, so COVID, then the kickoff in 20, and then 21, 22, 23, almost, yeah, about 3 or 4 years of freight recession there. That freight volumes, they spiked for a while, but then they dropped back off again because you guys were no longer getting free money. And I guess you guys, like spending when it's free money, but you don't like spending when it's your money, rat bastards. All right. But we are seeing a lot of freight volumes coming up, which is good. I mean, it's only 2% from last year, which I'd like to see more because last year, yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more, but 8% up from 2024. All right. Next chart. I know they look like just squiggly lines to you guys, but I read the matrix. Below is the truckload rejection index. These are rejections. So this is basically how much capacity there is out there and regards to the loads. So are trucks falling off of loads, or are they hitting the spot market, or are they just, that's kind of just. So a tender rejection is under a contracted load. Let's say you're contracted to pick up 40 loads and, a month, let's just say. And next thing you know, your truck breaks down or your truck gets held up because of weather or something happens and you lose your earpiece out of your ear, which I just did. Basically, that would be a tender rejection because you can't pick up that load. So then that load would fall into the spot market. So capacity is tightening. Probably the reason. I might have to mute you. Capacity is tightening, basically, in regards to probably, there's reasons for that. Either, unfortunately, some carriers are going out of business. We know that for a fact. But also you have non-domiciled CDL drivers, which are, they're fighting against those. And there's a lot of non-English speaking, which technically, I don't think the non-English speaking is a big factor if they're already hired. Just because although we see tickets being issued, that freight's still moving. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they get completely put out of service, sometimes they just get a ticket, and sometimes they carry it. So I'm not sure about that one, but I'll get back to you on that one. But we are definitely seeing that the key takeaway from this one is the available capacity is significantly tighter to start out 26 than it was in 23, 24, 25. So we are definitely not having the amount of trucks out there hauling the freight just because, hey, they could be going out of business. Who knows? Less trucks out there, which we have seen that. All right. What do we got? This one here. Oh, this is by region. You're going to be getting way more, California about $1.80. You're going to be getting way more on the East Coast, which is normal, but you're also in the Midwest. Now, some of this you kind of have to take for a grain of salt because I don't really like this chart much because it's hard to say It's hard to say, to be completely with this one. It's just, this one is too much of a blanket pricing index type thing. So I'm not big on this one. Okay. The chart showing total spot loads. Okay. Spot market. How many loads are actually out there on the spot market on load boards, which I will show you in a second, compared to this year, last year, and the 5-year average. We are right at the 5-year average, which might not be real good, but it's definitely better than last year. Because if you take the 5-year average, you're going to take probably a year of good rates, real good rates, and then 3 to 4 years of bad rates. So the bad rates kind of offset the good rate. So the 5-year average of loads, I'd like to see more than that, to be completely honest. I'd like to see above the 5-year average of freight volumes. But it is what it is. All right. Chart reserve employment numbers since 2021. Takeaway from this is that 50,000 more drivers have left the market than they previously thought. Now, this is a big one for capacity. Drivers, and this is why we have driver shortage problems. Drivers are leaving the market, which means you have a CDL. I have a CDL, but I'm not driving, so I'm a driver that has left the market. She's back here. Jenny's has a CDL. She's back in my Discord, which I don't have my Discord on. She's not driving, so that's a driver who has left the market. Over on X, if you're watching me over on X, or you've come here from X, Super Trucker is a driver who has left the market. These are drivers who have left the market. So that's could be technically a driver shortage. Now, that means we're losing drivers. That means we have to fix the problem. Now, we don't have a shortage of CDL holders. We have a shortage of drivers. And that's one of my fights that I do all the time. All right, we already talked about that. Couple headlines before we go to the videos. I'm trying to get to the videos real quick. Aurora announced that a new software update lets its driverless trucks run a 1,000-mile Phoenix to Fort Worth lane nonstop in about 15 hours because the robots aren't bound by hours of service like the rest of us. So we're starting to see, and this is going to be another push, to be completely honest. So when we have, and I know people don't want to hear this, but when you have drivers coming into the market and you can pay drivers a lower wage, let's say, compared to having to pay them a very high wage, businesses look for other means to be able to maintain profits. And I know that people don't want to hear this crap, but I'm going to be honest with you. And sometimes you got to hear the crap that you don't want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So basically, you're going to start to see more of the self-driving trucks and advancements in the self-driving trucks and trying to get that approved, because now you're going to have that push to try to keep businesses keeping profits, and trucking companies also. So we now know that, some of these trucks are now driving with no drivers in them. No drivers at all in them. They're driving 1,000 miles, and they've been able to take the drivers and the safety drivers out of the vehicles and drive them with no one in them. And again, as we have a capacity tightening and less drivers out there, technology is going to take advancements to try to speed that process up. It's just what it's going to be. And that's, I don't know. I'm not completely a self-driving person. I don't know if I don't mind it in specific lanes. I don't mind it understanding that it's probably going to take away about 20% of the drivers, just like the rail didn't take away 100% of deliveries. You're always going to have something. And those drivers are the drivers that were going long haul. It'll probably eliminate long haul. It'll eliminate southern long haul routes first because of weather, and those drivers are going to have to find new homes. So they're going to have to go to either final mile, short hauls, regional, other aspects of things. All right. Federal Motor Carrier Administration has finalized its sweeping overhaul of non-domiciled regulations and reaffirming the core intent of the 2025 interim final rule. and introducing key refinements. The final rule, which becomes effective 30 days after publication, expected this week, preserves the IRF's most rigorous provisions. Basically, this is going to be going after non-domiciled CDLs, and you can't. They're looking at that. Now, one of the problems we have with non-domiciled CDLs is you get your license, and let's say your license is good for 4 years. I'm just using a magic number, but you only have 3 years left on your green card, or 2 years on your green card. Now you still have a license longer than you have your green card, which technically that can be a problem. Now, we do the same thing with medical cards and hazmat, but it's kind of the drivers and the companies knowing that, hey, you can't, I know you have a CDL here, but your green card overrides your CDL, so you're going to have to go get your green card re-upped before we can continue to have you behind the wheel of a truck. I mean, that's kind of what happens with your medical card. So I don't know why we can't do it with the green card. Kind of weird, right? Just let's let the companies handle that. All right. Fetching, yes. So the federal government exposed bigger truck driver purge, peak of 1.5 million, down 122,000. So we peaked at 1.58. Let's just say 1.6 million drivers in 2022. That was the peak, and how many basically drivers and everything were coming into the market. And now it's down about 122,000 from that, which is 50,000 less than we thought. Worse than we thought. We thought we lost about 50,000 more than we thought. Core inflation was up, mostly on food and energy. Chameleon carrier. So a bill is going to be introduced into Congress in regards to chameleon carriers. Chameleon carriers is a carrier that has multiple DOTs for the purposing of skirting safety regulations in regards to their carriers. So I might have a DOT. I drive through a scale. I get a real bad scoring. I'll get that in a minute. I get real bad scoring, and then I say, you know what? I'm just going to open up another DOT, and I'm going to basically use this DOT so that I don't, that DOT that I just screwed up and got in trouble with, I don't have to use that anymore because nobody will insure me, and no freight broker will give me any freight. All right, so that's going to be something looking into that. Temporary restraining order by the Teamsters because of UPS. I'm not going to deal with that. That's more final mile shit. You can watch Mark the Mentor if you want the final mile stuff. He covers final mile and moving. And it's at Mark the Mentor on YouTube. Okay. Commercial Motor Vehicle Safety Alliance approved 17 changes to the 2026 North American Standard Out of Service Criteria. Ooh, that one I might have to look into. Might have to look into that one. New criteria for out of services. I'll probably do a separate video on that one. All right, Florida Attorney General announces changes against 6 members of the original cargo theft group that stole 51 commercial vehicles, 28 cargo shipments, resulting in an estimated loss of $7.8 million. And then we're going to go, okay, kind of covered all the hotlines. That is the news headlines of the week. We're just going to go of the week. But I will do a separate video in regards to these changes. All right. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I'll do one of that. All right. Now, couple videos. Let's go to the reaction videos. First, we're going to start with this one. This one is on X, and this is on Dr. Phil of Trucking. He is FreightWaves kind of correspondent. He's also on XM Radio. I go on XM Radio with him usually, or the Road Dog Radio. He's on that one with me. But he also does FreightWaves. He also does cents per mile. Yeah, I'm making sense. No, yeah, cents per mile. He also does that. Sorry, Charles, if you're watching. Yeah, I'm butchering some of the stuff you do. You do too much. It's not my problem. It's your problem. You do too much. Okay, not really. So this was on X, and this is the... Hang on, don't start talking yet. I'm not ready for you. This is the American Truckers Association. No, American Truckers United, talking a little bit about something that I wanted to do a reaction video to. Now, I put that in there, but I hate typing. So, and of course, if I reach out to them, they're not coming on my show, or they're not doing interviews with me because, again, I try not to be... I don't want to be in the echo chamber, which makes me more of an outcast and in regards to logistics and stuff like that. But hey, somebody's got to give a little bit of pushback in reality. All right, so let's kind of listen to this. Let me do this.
If you've been tendering loads to illegal aliens that don't speak English, are driving on our highways, causing accidents, and people have died, and people have been injured, do you deserve to be in our industry? I mean, that's...
All right, so I want to rewind. So that was kind of the gist of what he's saying, and I'm going to back it up a little bit and play it one more time so we're going to kind of talk about this real quick. And I will turn the phones on. I will turn the phones on here. Phones are on. Right, Sonia?
His number, 856-600-4654. Sage Outcast. I have questions.
All right, I have to clip that too. Either way, let's play this again and let's listen.
If you've been tendering loads.
Okay. If I, the freight broker, have been tendering loads, which means I, Sage Outcast LLC, the freight broker, gives a load to Joe Schmo Trucking LLC. Okay.
To illegal aliens that don't speak English, are driving on our highways, causing accidents, and illegal aliens.
All right.
Loads to illegal aliens that don't speak English, are driving on our highways, causing accidents, and people have died, and people have been injured. Do you deserve to be in our industry?
I don't know, because here's the problem. When I tender a load, and I wanted to have this explained, I kind of wanted to explain this to him over there at Truckers United, American Truckers United. I don't tender loads to the driver. On my Raycon, I don't tender loads to the driver. Now, I don't tender loads to sole proprietors, basically, because I'm an LLC guy to an LLC guy. So I am tendering loads to the trucking company. Okay, now this could be two things. So the trucking company could have 100 drivers, or the trucking company could have 2 drivers, or the trucking company could have 1 driver. But I am not tendering a load. Okay, I am not tendering a load to the driver. I am tendering a load to the carrier, to the company, from company to company. It's on the top of my Raycon. I'm not, a matter of fact, I am not tendering a load even to the company, if you want to be technical about it. My MC number is tendering a load. My MC number is tendering a load to your MC number. That's the reality of it. Not to the driver, not to the company, because, if you were to look up Smith Trucking, there's probably, I don't even know how many Smith Trucking. There could be 50 Smith Truckings out there. But there's only one Smith Trucking with the MC number or DOT number that you have, right? That's it, if you're Smith Trucking. So my MC number or DOT number is technically giving I'm not tendering it to the driver. So when we have them saying that if I'm tendering it to somebody, how do I know that the driver of the vehicle is going to be a U.S. citizen? I don't. There's no way for me to know. I'm hoping you, the carrier, do your due diligence to make sure they're a U.S. citizen, to make sure that they speak English, because that's your requirement. But I don't know how to do that. And you're welcome to call in. Like, if you're a driver and you disagree with me, or you're a broker and you disagree with me, or you agree with me, or whatever you want to do, you're welcome to call in. Call in the number. It's on the screen someplace. Yeah, there it is right there. And I know I should be playing the game, but I just got unalive. How do I guarantee that the driver hauling the freight, because it's not my job, because to basically hire the driver, I hire the carrier. I pay the carrier, and the carrier hires the driver. Even if you're hiring yourself, I'm still not paying you. I'm paying your company. And then your company hires you to drive the freight. So I don't know, and I know we basically... Now, do I believe that you should hire a driver that speaks English? Do I believe that if I knowingly know that you do not, many brokers are required? Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, like Snorlord says, and Snorlord's welcome to call in. Copies of CDLs are proof that the driver is U.S. citizen. But the problem is how do I know as a broker that that's the driver you're going to use? You could send me a copy of a driver that you have that with a CDL, and proof that he is a U.S. citizen, but how do I know that that's the driver you're actually putting on the load, right? Because I'm not at the location. So there's no way for me to know. Or that driver gets hurt, or that driver gets sick, or that driver, he was supposed to pick up the load, but his truck got held up and they're sending another driver in. So I don't know if I'm not hiring the driver. I'm hiring Schneider. I'm hiring Joe Schmo Trucking. I'm hiring that. So I can do my best due diligence to basically go out and say, hey, I need a U.S. citizen, must be U.S. citizen, must be, I'll do this. But there's no way for me to know that driver because I don't hire the driver, to be completely honest. And then my question is do you want me as a freight broker to start making sure that you're hiring safe drivers? Because I have no problem running your MVRs. I can do it as a licensed insurance agent. I have no problem running your driver's license and your MVR and saying, hey, give me the driver's license of the driver. I'm going to run their MVR. And if they come back with tickets or anything that I don't agree to, that driver can't haul the load. I'm okay with that, to be completely honest. But a lot of drivers are going to be like, whoa, that's too much. But if we're really looking for safe drivers and not just looking for the immigration factor of it, then I, the freight broker, should be looking for the safest, best driver to haul the freight. And if you want that, we can step over that line. But if you're going to ask me to ensure that they're U.S. citizens, I'm not ICE. And the problem is I'm not going to make that determination because that's putting a liability on me that what if I'm wrong? And I say somebody isn't, or I say somebody is, and now I don't do something, and now I'm opening myself up for that lawsuit. Where, remember, one of the reasons that freight brokers exist is to limit liability for customers. Like, insurance liability and liability for lawsuits is a huge factor in regards to why freight brokers exist for customers. So my problem with this, with them is I am hiring your company to do something. Your company, you as a company, should not be hiring illegals or people who can't drive the truck or unsafe drivers or people who don't speak the language. Like, that's your job as a business owner. My job, it's very difficult for me to police your company. Like, now you want me to police your company. And you don't want me to tell you how much I pay. Like, you don't want me to take a supervisory role in your company because I can't. So I don't know how to fix this. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. I'm just saying that do I believe we should have more fines on carriers that hire this? Yes, because they're the tip of the spear in regards to that. If you're a trucking company, that's the tip of the spear. Now, again, I have requirements that my drivers have to know how to read English, but my shipper helps me with that. Like, when you walk into my shippers, I tell them, make sure, because they have to be able to read a permit. My permits are not in Spanish. Permits come in English only. Great idea. So you can't walk into one of my overdimensional shippers and not read the bill of lading to them, because they're not reading it to you. They're going to be like, where are you picking up? And you can't just show them your phone. You have to read it to them. And you have to tell them what you're picking up. And you have to read all of this to them. If you can't read it to them, they will not load you. But that is a safety standard that my shipper and myself have put in place between the two of us, because you have to also be able to read the permit. Because you can't read a permit and you're going to hit a bridge, or worse. So I have that ability with my customer, but again, I'm not moving 1,000 loads a month. And when you're moving 1,000 loads a month, how can I know which driver you are putting on the load, even if you show me, well, here's the CDL of the guy. Well, how do I know that's the guy that's going to pick up the load? I don't. I just, how can I? It could be swapped out. I have had drivers show up and went to load one of my loads, and he slipped and he fell off his truck and he hurt his back. And they had to send in a new driver because that driver just couldn't. It was better he wanted to get looked at and all this other stuff. So they ended up bringing in a new driver, swapping out trucks. I mean, they came pick the truck up later, but they swapped out trucks because he went to the hospital. So the driver that was supposed to haul the load wasn't the next one to haul the load. So you could tell me that, but I don't know. So
I mean, that's That's the reality of the situation. And I know people don't want to come to grips with the severity and the seriousness of what's happened here.
True. No, and I agree. I do believe we need to get safer drivers, but I do believe that we need safer drivers all around, English speaking and non-English speaking.
It's real.
I don't think we need if you're not English speaking, you can't drive, but you get my point.
And I talk to these families every day. I'm going to be doing some interviews with some of these families this week to talk about their situation with these brokers. But
I think this is the problem. You're welcome to talk to me. He's welcome to talk to me. He's welcome to reach out to me. I'm going to send him a message. He's welcome to reach out to me. And I will show him how do I know that's the driver picking up the load? How I'm hiring a carrier. I'm hiring a business. I'm not hiring an individual person. And I'm not saying this to be a jerk about it. I'm saying this because now that you know that, we can't just say what he's saying, because that doesn't work. That's not going to work. And my problem with this is that I want legitimate ways to solve this problem. I don't just want things being thrown out there that we can't fix the problem, because we do have a problem, right? So the situation should be, hey, how do I, because if that's the case, if you come to a freight broker and you now make me responsible, you're going to start, unless I know you for a fact are going to be hauling the freight, or unless I know you have I'm not going to use you if you're a small carrier. Why would I? I'm only going to go to the carriers that I know. I'm going to start to eliminate any potential problems for opening myself up for liability. So if you're a small carrier, and I don't have the confidence, or I don't, compared to a Schneider, or compared to somebody that can absorb, because remember, one of the reasons that if you're a small carrier, you get into a wreck, you might not be able to cover a nuclear verdict. So if I'm a broker, if I don't use you and I use a Schneider or a Warner or a bigger carrier, let's say 100 trucks, 50 trucks or whatever, it's less possible that that's going to come back to me and my shipper, because you're a bigger company and you've if more cushion before it comes back to me. So what I'm trying to say is be careful what you ask for, because if brokers feel that they're opening themselves up for liability, then brokers are going to start to eliminate any type of possibility for these types of liabilities. And one way might be just saying, I'm not going to use any carrier that doesn't have 30 trucks or more, because I'm not going to use any carrier that doesn't have 25 trucks or more. Or I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to hire a one truck operator, because you don't have enough protection for any type of lawsuit. And I'm not going to risk the fact that, hey, maybe I missed something and you weren't a legal citizen. Or maybe I missed something on your driving record and you weren't the safest driver. It's easier for me to go to a larger carrier who has standard operating procedures in place for properly hiring drivers and maintaining better safety records and maintaining better criteria and things like that, right? And I'm just putting it out there in regards to these things. Now, like I said, how do we get this fixed? Well, one of the ways we get this fixed is if your license is only good as long as your green card. So if you're going in there with a non-domicile, let's say CDL license, and you only have 2 years left on your green card, then you only get a 2-year license. That should be easy. Because if we can't trust you to do that, even though I know we don't do that with medical cards, and people are going to say, yeah, we don't do that with medical cards or hazmat. I get it, but we could set the standard for that. That's a start. And we're going to have to take small steps before we do knee-jerk reactions, because you don't want knee-jerk reactions from the logistics industry. That could go bad. All right. This is, oh, Jesus Christ, Shorty, hold still. Hold still, Shorty.
So your point.
Okay, he is known as CDL Shorty. He is on YouTube, and he brings up, now again, I'm not attacking Truckers United at all. Please, I want to make sure you understand that. I just want to make sure that we understand how everything is moving forward, so we don't start calling out things or going after situations that really won't fix the situation. We do this so much in trucking that we do knee-jerk reactions before we say, okay, how does this actually work so we can actually fix the problem? Like, I believe Truckers United has got valid points, But I believe that it's not that, well, you just don't want to do it because you're a broker. No. Trust me, I hate brokers, and I am one. But I just believe that we're going to have to find better ways to do this so that we don't get knee-jerk reactions, or I want to make sure we all understand how things are working before we try to fix something that's broken. Like, if you don't understand how something works, how can you fix it, right? So I do feel that we have to find a way to do this better. I'm just saying that you could impose this on me, and now I'm too scared to give anybody freight unless I've worked with that carrier for 2 years or more, and now you're a new carrier and you're never going to get any freight. And I don't want that to happen. I want carriers that come in the industry with the potential of doing a good job to be able to get freight. And I don't want these knee-jerk reactions. But you're going to force freight brokers and shippers to just say, no, big carriers, this many trucks or more, because that limits my liability. No new carriers unless they've got 2 years experience, 2 years in the industry. No. Okay. Boop. All right, CDL Shorty, and I will tag. Like I said, I'm gonna clip this stuff up and I'll tag people. All right. Let's go over one of the things that he just went over. And again, this is one that he brings great points, 100%, and then a little bit of some potential problem points. And I'm just trying to fix, because I don't want to be in echo chambers. And what happens is if you only have this one side of the point, then we're not going to get it fixed. But if you have his side and my side together, and we put that together, we might get a better outcome. And then, of course, bring somebody else in, and so on. Anyways, okay.
Flatbed needs to be an endorsement. Look at this. Y'all think?
Now, a couple things we're looking at. So, do I feel flatbed needs to be an endorsement? No, I don't think it needs to be an endorsement. I'll explain why. Do I believe flatbed should have to have proper training? Yes, but I don't feel it needs to be an endorsement per se, because my opinion is you can get an endorsement with just taking a test, 5-question test, and now I don't believe that that's all you're going to need. Justin, don't go nowhere. I don't believe that that's all you need, and then next thing you know, I'm good to go. Like, people will come they'll take a 10-question test in regards to tanker, and they have the endorsement. They memorize the questions. But it's a whole different story. Okay, so we're looking at a flatbed that is hauling steel. And he's got overhang on the front and overhang on the back. That's legal. Depending on what state you're in, you're allowed to overhang on the front and overhang on the back so many feet, and it all depends on what state you're in. Some states 3, some states 5. It all depends on, some states are no overhang on the front, but you can overhang on the back. He could be a 48-foot trailer, so because he's a 48-foot trailer, he can have, this much overhang to equal 53. It all depends on the state that you're in, right? It all depends on the state.
And it depends on your flagging, that if you have proper flagging for the state that you're in.
Yeah, also. Absolutely. Like over here, they overhang logs, and they put the little orange, they'll tie an orange flag to the back of the log to mark that thing as overhang. So that's what he means by that. Yeah.
This is safe. Look at that. Now, me, for one, I'm an advocate for no straps.
Now, I'm not an advocate for no straps. I'm an advocate for strap fiberglass. 100%, because you can't chain fiberglass. But steel on steel like this, I don't know. I'm thinking we should throw a chain on this bad boy, but you don't know.
Chain, steel on steel, get a nice bite to it.
Me looking at this, he doesn't have. I don't see any edge protectors nowhere.
No,
and on top of them I-beams.
Correct, and I don't know if that's an I-beam or if that's a I'm assuming it's 2 I-beams side by side. Assuming. I'm saying it. So we're looking at one side, and these are I-beams, and then or L-beams, or whatever they're, like L's. I think they're L's, or I don't know if they're I-beams or if they're L's side by side. I don't know, because he never shows the other side. But there's no edge protectors on those straps, to be honest. You're right at the top here. But they're not frayed, But
the driver, he didn't want to be put on film, so we're going to respect that. But I had a conversation with the driver. I walked up on him, and guess what also? I'm actually proposing sanctions on shippers that are saying no chains on steel.
I have no idea what sanctions on shippers are, Shorty. No offense. Now, also understand that the FMCSA has no authority on safety at the shipper. They can't tell the shipper they can't tell the shipper. They have no authority on shippers, okay? They have authority on carriers. So what we have to understand, to be completely honest, is you don't have to, and I don't know what sanctioning a shipper means. I think that's a word that you're a little confused. We don't, anyways. So, and here's another aspect in regards to looking at the situation and actually understanding so we can fix this properly. But I'm going to let him play a little bit.
Because we don't want it scratched or bent. I want sanctions on those shippers.
What is it say? What are you talking about sanctions? Nobody can work with them? Like, nobody can ship them raw material? What are you talking about, Shorty? Okay.
Also want sanctions on those drivers to go against their CDL.
The word sanction doesn't mean you. Now, understand how this should actually have happened, okay? Sometimes you're going to have to walk away from customers. I've done it. You're just going to have to do it. We don't have to sanction a shipper. The FMCSA, like I said, can't go in there and regulate shippers. That's not what they do. But a carrier can say, I can't ship this the way you want to ship it. I can't properly secure it for the safety of myself and the motoring public. And they can walk away from that load. I cannot, as a freight broker, tell them to do something that is unsafe, deemed by them, okay? So if the driver says, I believe this is unsafe because they won't let me chain this down, that load right there is unsafe. The driver has made that call. Now, my job would be to go to the ship. I'd be like, okay, what's going on? And he'd show me. I'm like, all right, they won't let you chain it anywhere? No. All right, what was the name of the person you spoke with? Blah, blah, blah. All right, I'll call you right back. I'd call over there and say, hey, the driver's brought something to my attention. The load in which you want to ship is steel, and straps are not going to be safe enough, in both my opinion, to be honest, and his opinion, to properly secure this to the trailer. Now, if you want him to have straps on it, fine, but we're also going to need chain points. You're going to have to show 3 points that we can chain this load down also. So you're welcome to go out there and work with the driver, but I'm just using 3. It could be 4, whatever. I'm just making this up. You're going to have to come up with chain points also to secure this load to the trailer, because we have to protect both the driver and the motoring public from this either falling off, moving forward, or falling off the truck if the truck were to tip over in any way. That's not just to secure it to that and gravity. It's if the truck were to tip, it's got to stay on the trailer to the best of its ability, obviously. Like, some of my stuff's fiberglass, and my stuff just smashes. Like, fiberglass just breaks, and it doesn't stay on the trailer at that point. But steel shouldn't smash. This trailer should tip, and that whole thing should stay secured to the trailer, right? Because you're not breaking the steel. And if that can't happen, that's not safe. So I do agree with him on that. But I don't know. Sanctioning the shippers, we just have to have drivers, carriers, and freight brokers that have to properly educate their shippers to make sure that they understand why this is important. Now, remember, I, as a freight broker, would say, hey, if we don't chain this, you are opening yourself up for a lawsuit. Because if that hits a car, everybody's getting sued. And one of my jobs, technically 2 of my jobs, one of my jobs as a freight broker is to eliminate your liability and your risk, Mr. Shipper. That's what I have to do. And I'm telling you right now that we are opening you up for a lawsuit if we only put straps on this and anything were to happen. This needs to be chained. So I understand you don't want chains, but we're going to have to find a way to chain it. Either a spot, 3 spots, or something like this.
Flatbed, step deck, oversized should be an endorsement.
An endorsement, okay, if you don't know, if you're in trucking, an endorsement is, I have a CDL license. Endorsements are sections in regards that I had to take special tests. I had to take an endorsement for air brakes. I had to take an endorsement for combinations, being able to pull a trailer. I took my endorsement for doubles and triples. I took my endorsement, meaning I took a part of the test as a written test for tankers. Now, that's all I had to do. I didn't have to drive a tanker. I didn't have to drive doubles and triples. I have my bus endorsement, but I did have to take the test in a bus, which I did. But that's my passenger endorsement. It's actually called passenger. So do I believe it should be an endorsement? No, because I don't feel that an endorsement, technically a flatbed is standard equipment. Flatbed and vans is standard equipment. Do I believe step deck, RGN endorsement? I think that's the first step. But this is kind of one of the things that I'm not in favor of just saying, fine, you pass the 5 questions, you're good to go. You see what I mean? So just saying this should be an endorsement and saying, yep, we did it, I don't think that is enough for flatbed to be qualified to be able to drive a flatbed. I feel you should have to take a securement class to be able to haul that. So it shouldn't just be an endorsement from the FMCSA, like tankers and things like that. But I think I know what he means. But I just want, my problem is I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So when you use the term endorsement, it's just, I think my endorsement for doubles and triples was 10 questions, basically.
This guy been.
I think I lessened
Tanker
it.
is 2.
Yeah.
Tanker's like 11 or 12.
Yeah, something like that. It's something like that.
Driving 22 years, he said, and he said he's never put it, which I highly doubt that. But you know, truckers lie. A lot of truckers talk a lot of bullshit out here. But he said, "Oh, it don't matter if you put straps on it or chains. If I hit those brakes, it's still going to move."
True. It could still move. That is a true. But what you're doing is you're eliminating the chances of it to move or fall off the trailer. The biggest thing is not, I understand that people say, well, if you hit the brakes, it's going to go through the truck. It's going to go all the way through the cab of the truck. That's why you either have a headache rack on the trailer or a bulkhead. I'm sorry, a bulkhead on the trailer, which is like a wall, or you have a headache rack on the truck. He has neither of these, which I wouldn't load this without a headache rack on the truck because I already know he doesn't have a bulkhead on the trailer. And bulkheads on the trailer are kind of not as common as much as headache racks on the truck. A headache rack on the truck is basically a big metal box or a plate that also you can hang your chains from, and it's also used as storage. So,
well, he could still have a bulkhead on that trailer, but it wouldn't matter. But because the freight is hanging over in the front.
Correct.
So
he does. That's why he
it
doesn't
would be
have
sitting on top. It'd be sitting on top of that bulkhead,
right,
which would eliminate the.
Yeah, and I'm seeing less and less trailers built with bulkheads. That's kind of old school, to be honest, having those bulkheads on the front.
Let me ask you guys a question.
All right, ask me a question.
You think FMCSA care about that? You think when that steel comes through that cab, you think you're going to say that when that steel hit the back of that noggin?
I mean, you're not going to say anything at all if that steel hits the back of your noggin. No offense.
Where did safety go?
So the FMCSA is going to base it in saying, hey, does it have enough securement to in regards to the weight? So each strap is rated for specific weight ratings, right? Like some straps are stronger than others. Might be 6,000 pounds, things like that. But that's the problem with the FMCSA is they're going to say, was it properly secured according to guidelines? And the issue is that sometimes guidelines are just guidelines. they're minimum, not maximum. Just so you know.
In this industry. When I get on Capitol Hill and I propose in front of the Committee of Transportation, I'm going to ask them that. And I'm going to ask them and I'm going to propose a good argument that we put sanctions on all the steel shippers.
Yeah, you can't really do that. You can't. The Federal Motor Carrier Administration can't put sanctions on companies because if that's the case, then
safety administration.
Yeah, I just picked out the specific. I just picked out the specific ones that I needed. Motor Carrier.
Doesn't matter. Be correct, or these people won't understand.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! Safety administration. Anyways. They're not going to be able to put this on. Now, again, it's going to be drivers, carriers, and freight brokers that should be the ones to make sure that the guidelines are met. There's no way to go after. There's no way to go after the shippers with the motor carrier. And they're probably going to tell him this. We don't have jurisdiction. Just like, ICE doesn't have jurisdiction over traffic stops. There's jurisdiction that different things do. Like the IRS can't tell them to properly secure this way. Like departments and branches have jurisdictions, and they just don't have that.
That are telling these drivers, because he told me a shipper that he picked it up from, he didn't disclose the information, but he said a shipper he picked it up from said no chains.
Then you just drive away. Sorry, can't do it. Walk away. The driver should have walked away. Driver should have been like, she just been like, I gotta go. I gotta walk away. I can't haul it. It's not safe. That's the driver's job. Well, the driver's job might be then to notify his carrier. But that's the driver's job, to determine if can the load. Do you know how many times I have shipped stuff that I'm like, we have no way to chain this down. We literally have no way to chain this down to the trailer. We cannot haul this. We've had to build special racks that they then welded and then cut off at the receiver so that we could chain the rack down to the trailer, and then they welded the item to the rack, and then that's how we hauled it, because there was no way, there was no location to secure. So that was our job to go and say, you're gonna have to figure something out, because we can't chain down. There's no place to secure this piece, and we can't ship the item. So that's your job as a carrier, and that's your job as a freight broker, and that's your job as a driver. And this is where this needs to be held accountable, at that level, because that's our job, to inform the shipper what the regulations are on the road. It's not the shipper's job to know those regulations also. It's our job to go to them and say, hey, this is what you're going to have to do, or we're not going to be able to ship this. And if they say, no, we're not doing that, you need to drive away. Just give up the load. Because you might be losing a $1,000 load, but if you're in a wreck, good luck with that $1 million lawsuit.
See, freight brokers.
What?
Everybody that's in the logistics industry that's not a driver, this is the stupid stuff that you guys don't see.
It's the stuff I see, because as a freight broker, I demand pictures. But I also know my customers. Like, we do see that. Well, the freight broker might see this. We can't say that they didn't. They might not give a shit. But I know what my shippers are, what my manufacturers and my shippers are shipping. I ask them for pictures. I see diagrams. I see examples. They send this to me. The driver gets there. They take pictures. We go over it together, because I have to eliminate risk against my company, against my shipper, and then the carrier also.
This is what causes freight delays. When a car cuts off a semi-truck and they hit the brakes, guess what? I guarantee you they're still coming through that.
We're kind of reaching a little bit, CDL. The freight delays, I don't really care. The freight delay, it doesn't really.
Cab. Even if you put...
You want to get... And this is the other thing, too, is when we want to talk about this, let's go over the aspect. Let's stay on point. When we start to drift in regards to these topics, they find reasons to not force these things to happen. And that's what I'm just explaining this. Shorty is, stay focused on the topic. This is going to not... who cares about a freight delay? No one. Now, if you want to talk about the safety in regards to securing of this, yes, I agree with that.
Edge protectors on this. It's still going to slice through them straps like butter.
And the other thing, too, is it doesn't really matter with edge protectors in regards to that. If this thing were to tip, do you feel that this is going to stay on the trailer? My answer would be no. No, it wouldn't. Because an edge protector, it doesn't even matter.
Steel on steel. Put a bite on it. Now look at this. Look at this. And if this shipper really cared about this, they would have had this, made this driver tarp this load.
Tarping the load, it doesn't matter. If the steel is going to be outside steel, we don't tarp load for safety. We tarp load for for protecting the item from wind, hail, rain.
Because it's raining, as you guys can see.
Yeah, it's an outdoor steel. That's an outdoor steel. That's an I-beam type thing. That can get wet. That has nothing to do with tarping.
But look at this.
Okay.
Now, I would like to ask you guys.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's no flag back here for clearance.
Oh, okay. So it's not, if you see it right there, it is not, I didn't notice that the first time. It is not sharp
now,
on top.
I would like to ask you guys,
See that? It is shaped. It's shaped like a chair or a couch. So it goes down, over, and down. So
yeah, it's rounded.
It's rounded. It is rounded. It's not gonna. Okay, so yes, that is rounded.
Guess what? It's no flag back here for clearance or anything.
Yeah, but that's not the shipper. That's, again, he might not have to flag that clearance. Depending on what state he's in, you might have to flag at over 2 foot of overhang, and he might be at 18 inches of overhang. That is state. That depends on the state.
Anything. And I would like to really ask you guys,
sure,
is this safe?
I don't know. Is it safe? That's hard to say. Is it to my safety standard? No. The problem is it's to his safety standard. So most likely they don't want it chained because they don't want that lip bent. They don't want that lip bent right there, unfortunately. Well, then you're going to have to, unfortunately, load this in a way that we can chain it and not bend the lip. You might have to lay it down.
Flag back here for clearance or anything. And I would like to really ask you guys, is this safe? If your grandmother, if your daughter, if your son.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. We get a ton of steel at my job. 97% isn't tarped. 3% of it is. So done so at the driver's discretion. Most likely it's at the shipper's discretion also, because some shippers are like, hey, this steel is stainless. Hey, this steel, it's polished. Hey, this is this. I'm not saying that steel is for you. But most steel that's going to be used for I-beams and stuff like that can get wet. They don't really care. But it all depends on the steel for tarping. Now, this is the problem with the question that you asked in the end, and I would basically say, is this?
And I would like to really ask you guys,
sure,
is this safe?
Safety is something that I might say something safe and somebody else might not, or somebody else might say it is, and I say it's too open for interpretation. Safety, to be completely honest. So that's why requirements have to be set up, not just
grandmother,
question.
If your daughter, if your son, if your wife, if your husband was riding beside this truck driver and this truck driver got cut off or a deer ran in front of this truck, would you feel safe? Would you feel comfortable? Ask yourself that.
And that's hard to say, unfortunately. But I do. He does bring up some good facts, and I'm not attacking him. I'm just attacking to make sure that we can make sure that we are going over exactly what we're looking for in regards to this, because we get emotional in a lot of things rather than factual, and we need to stay factual if we truly want things to be fixed. Okay, now we're gonna get to the Sage versus Big Rig Nation. So, Big Rig Nation put out a video in regards to leverage and data collection and stuff like that in logistics. And I covered that in a reaction video. But I told him, hey, I'm going to do a reaction video of this. I gave him a heads up. Now, he's traveling right now, training or something, which is fine. And so he can't come on the show. But he's welcome to come on the show, and I'll tag him in this one too. But he's welcome to reach out to me. He's welcome to text me my number, the number that's on the screen. You can text me. Just tell me who you are. You can join my Discord. Actually, anything you want, and I have no problem. This isn't a one-sided thing that I'm just doing this and he has no way to rebut me real time, or he doesn't have to at all. We can just do videos. And I'm not doing this to attack in any way, shape, or form. He brings up great points, but again, if we sit in an echo chamber with no pushback and no discourse and no discussion, we're really not going to get shit fixed, right? So we need to be both. If you really want something fixed, you've got to find two sides of it so that the cream, flows to the top and we can get things done. Now, so he just did a video in regards to the video that I did, and he basically said leverage versus supply and demand. My response is Sage Outcast, and I respect that. He stayed very respectful, and I appreciate that. And again, it's not drama as much as discourse. That's not drama as much as discussion or not living in the echo chambers. And I see the echo chambers more and more and more and more, either politically or logistically. And I mention this all the time. If you push back and you don't just agree, or you make somebody look bad, and someone's make me look dumb, okay, teach me. But if they feel that somebody can come in and push against their narrative, either they feel it's a distraction. This is all distractors. But the reality is, I have views from different than his, and this is how we get things fixed. Now, real quick before I start this section of this, cut video here. Okay. Basically, no, don't. I'm not hanging up. I'm just going to cut the video. So. Again, this is Big Rig Nation, and I'm going to do a response to his response video that he just did while on the road. Now, I have a CDL. I've been an owner-operator. I've been a carrier. I've been a freight broker for 20 years. I specialize in over-dimensional freight. I'm a licensed insurance agent, and I'm now taking on a new position as a transportation risk advisor / insurance producer for specialized equipment. And that's going to be one of my new roles, and I'll be explaining that more in some videos in regards to that. Let's just play the video. Let's play the video. Hang on here. All right. I'm going to slow down a little bit.
We saw Sage Outcast reaction video to our video. First thing I want to do is say that I appreciate it. Anytime someone is actually listening and responding instead of dismissing something, that's really great for trucking. I'm going to put a link into his full video in the description. I want you guys to
I did share this video out on my community page.
Go watch it. It's about 40 minutes long. He explains his position clearly, and then I want you guys to come back. I want you to watch ours. And you can hear what we said in full context.
I didn't clip. I don't clip anything. And that's good, right? Here's the video. I don't need to clip the guy. I'm not going to take him out of context. It was not in any way.
Didn't leave anything out, all right? Because when you hear both sides back to back, you're going to fully understand why the conversation isn't about who's right or wrong. And I'm going to tell you why it's about leverage. And since this is leverage week, this is exactly the kind of conversation that we should be having in trucking. We're doing some training this week, so I'm filming from a different setup.
And that's fine. I understand that.
I've got these earbuds in. I'm going to sound different, but I want to respond to this while it's fresh, all right? My grammar correction in the video. I'm from the South. I'm going to say words different. That's not a mistake. That's geography. But we're not.
No problem. I actually have a pronunciation producer. I don't hire him, but he's just here. Anyways, I have a pronunciation producer. No problem. No problem. I'm from New York, not city, because either way.
Debating pronunciation. We're debating leverage here, and that's
I'm in Maine now, but okay.
Much more important conversation. Got it. And so let's clear this up immediately. We never said supply and demand disappeared.
True. You did not say that.
Supply and demand still controls freight rates. Too many trucks, rate drops. Too much freight, rates rises. That's basic economics. It's not controversial. That's not the debate. And the debate is this. What happens when supply and demand is tracked, recorded, stored, and measured every single day? Because you see, that is what has changed. Years ago, freight was slower. You relied more on relationships. You relied more on phone calls. You relied more on experience. We talked about this.
To be completely honest, back then, I had more leverage. Because you couldn't see my competition. You'd have to call in. And you couldn't just call into 1-800-loads.com. You called C.H. Robinson. You called, I don't even know any other broker back then, TQL. You called different brokerages. So you didn't have the leverage you have now to basically say, hey, I see your load, but I also see their load and this load and this load. And it's like romper room. I see Tommy and Susan and Beth and Michael. I don't know if that's probably just... Listen, I'm 50. All right. All right. Anyways, so this now kind of made it where you now started to gain that leverage point because we each have leverage, right? It's not one-sided. We each now have leverage.
We were even talking about maybe in my past. Now, every load leaves a footprint. Every delivery becomes data. Every delay becomes a pattern. And every rejection gets recorded. And patterns become pricing. That's the entire shift.
Yes and no. That is one aspect of the shift. See, the problem is freight is dynamic. It's not static. I wish it was static because then all of that would be leverage, right? Me knowing if it was a static industry, meaning not changing, consistent, me having all this data, boom, nailed it. But the problem is that it's dynamic. So although you believe me collecting all this information is leverage, is it leverage? To a degree, sure. Just like you having access to the internet is now more leverage than you just having to dial a 1-800 number and not seeing the loads. Now, when you're dealing with logistics, and the reason you have to know that it's dynamic is weather affects load pricing, right? Holidays affect load pricing. Bankruptcies, large bankruptcies of companies over a long freight recession affects leverage and affects the industry, right? So you can have things like, or a winning consistent bid, change in elections. Somebody just won a bid. They had no steel on the ground. Now they need 5 loads of steel. Those 5 loads of steel will probably hit the spot market, and that customer needs it now, right now. So these loads going from Houston to Syracuse might pay $4 a mile until all 5 of those loads are delivered. Now they don't need them right away. They only need one once a month because they've got 5 loads on the ground of steel. Okay? So that now that same lane going that same direction with the same product is no longer paying $5 or $4 a mile. Now they want to move it for as cheap as they can. Now they want to move it for $2 a mile. I'm just using simple numbers. All of that data meant nothing. So I can keep all this data if customers, this is the funniest part, customers are chaotic. I'm just telling you, some customers are good, but lots of customers are chaotic. A spot load might not be a tender rejection, meaning that might not have been a truck falling off. It might have been an extra load. It might have been 10 extra loads. It might have been the receiver saying, hey, this really never happens, but it could, and if hell freezes over, the receiver might say, hey, we're ahead of schedule. I know, it never happens. Trust me, they're always behind. But let's pretend. Let's pretend. They could be ahead of schedule. Or the supplier that was bringing them this steel didn't get it there in time. So they've reached out to another steel company, and they're saying, if you can get it to us on time, you can start serving that. This is, welcome to the world of trying to keep data when data is chaotic and dynamic.
And so the argument was this: dashboards don't control leverage, volume does.
Correct. Volume controls leverage, to be completely honest.
Volume matters. There's no argument there. I'm not even arguing this.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But dashboards show volume behavior over time.
Yes, dashboards show volume behavior over time in a consistent in a consistent static market and industry. We are not that. Your grass can kind of grow at the same pace, but even that changes if there's more rain, right? But we have, if just because you have that information, that does not constitute a leverage point. That constitutes a collection of data. Now, can I go to my customer with that data? Yes, because they are more consistent than everything else. I know that my shipper can produce this much metal because their company is designed to produce this much metal. They work 8 hours a day. They only have this many machines. They know consistently they can punch out 5 loads a week of metal. Okay? Everything outside of that building is not as consistent. I can try to keep those numbers, right? But there is dynamic events that happen within logistics that is difficult for truck drivers to realize. Let me give an example. One of the things, and I've had this conversation in regards to consulting with companies and stuff, middle managers are very, very, very important. Now, you don't need 42 of them. I get that. But you don't need bad ones. But a good middle manager, good at his job. Like, if you can do anything, if I were to tell you to do any of your kids to do anything, take management classes. Just do it. It's going to help you manage yourself. It's going to help you manage people. It's monstrous. Okay. A good middle manager will basically be able to create a buffer between the chaos from the top with the consistency at the bottom. Because once that chaos from the top, because I'm telling you right now, when you're the CEOs, there's nothing but chaos. You got people getting hurt. You got this guy shorted this, and you got this going on. You got this going on. You're trying to win more bids. You're dealing with salespeople. You're dealing with all this stuff. But the guys at the bottom just punching out steel, they don't see all this chaos. They just think everything's smooth up here. That's because they have a good middle manager, which can basically take this chaos at the top and make sure that that doesn't reach the consistency at the bottom. Because if you fuck up the consistency at the bottom, companies go under. They just do. Because once that consistency at the bottom breaks, once you break the basement, the whole house tumbles.
If you can see how thousands of loads behaved on a lane over a year, you're not guessing anymore. You know. When surprised,
But the problem is that's true. But at that point, here's the thing. I can see how loads are reacting, but, and I'm going to show you right now, I can't see how many trucks are going to be there at any given time. Now, this right here, that's why we don't do a year average. We do, what's the average on, it's 15 and 30, right? 15, 7-day average. See, I don't even look at it. 7-day average, 15-day average, 30-day average. When truckers are looking at this type of things, they go to the DAT or truck stop. I use truck stop. Sorry, DAT. I use truck stop. Truck stop. If you want to reach out to me and offer me any type of sponsorship, I'm your guy, brother. I've been with you since you've been free. That's how long ago I started with truck stop. Your service was free when I started with you. Yeah, I bet you I've been with truck stop longer than most of your employees. Anyways, just saying. And I love truck stop, to be honest. Nothing against that, but it's just I'm an open deck guy. All right.
Is that another shameless plug?
Yeah, but it's not a shameless plug if they're Burger King, right? If they were Burger King, it'd be different. Are you going to Burger King today? Are you going to Burger King? Maybe.
I'm not decided yet.
You ran it out. You went to Buffalo Wild Wings yesterday. That was unacceptable. Anyways, okay. So right now, we do a 7, 15, 30-day average because we know that if you take a year average in regards to logistics, because how dynamic it's going to be, that's really not good leverage point. What was it 7 days ago? What was the price? Because trucks are moving. They're not staying there, right? They're getting out of these areas. A truck might go from, let me zoom in here. This is a market conditions well, I don't know if it's real time, but close enough. And this is loads to trucks. Now, blue would be bad for a truck driver, good for a broker. Because that means that there's not a lot of loads and a lot of trucks in the blue. Red means that there's not a lot of trucks. Yeah, red means that there's not a lot of trucks and a lot of loads. So you're going to make more money because the leverage is the load board. The leverage is the guy next to you. The guy next to you is the leverage. If you want $2 a mile and he wants $1.95, you're both, guess who wins? So it's not just the data that's being collected by me. It's the guy next to you. That's your leverage point that you're fighting against. I can collect all this data. All this data I can collect. I can know that freight goes for this or freight goes for that or freight goes for this. What I can't predict is this guy might have a cheaper running cost and needs to get to the location that my freight will take him. How do I collect that data? So although it's great to collect data, it's great for truck drivers to collect data. Is it a leverage point? Not so much. Because like I showed earlier in the show, freight's getting hot right now. But if you were to be honest, if I went back to the records, I literally just showed this. Freight is higher now than it has been for the last 2 years. Why? Because freight's dynamic. Logistics is dynamic. Leverage points would be something that I consistently say this will happen, and there's no fluctuation. Right? All right. Boop. Excuse me.
Disappears, negotiation tightens, not disappears. It tightens.
No, my data, this is the best part. I can have all, let me back that up. No, not you. Let me back you up.
If you could see how thousands of loads behaved on a lane over a year, you're not guessing anymore.
No, because that's the problem. Over a year is too long. I need to see how loads reacted 7 days ago. Because over a year, the whole company could have went under a year ago. The manufacturers could have went under. Businesses could have closed. Projects could have been finished.
Change.
Markets change. The economy changes over a year. I want to know, what about 3 days ago? What about 7 days ago? Not over a year, right? So
when I was with Dad, I paid extra to get the 7-day average because the 30-day average done me no good.
Right.
I wanted the 7-day average.
Right. Because that's worth more to a driver.
Right.
7 days ago. That's why they charge you more money for it. Like that. Truck stop's better. Anyways.
You know, when surprise disappears, negotiation tightens, not disappears. It tightens.
Let me tell you something in trucking. I wish surprises would disappear in trucking. You know what's most funny? I make more money with surprises because I try to stay as consistently as I can with my customers. But trucking is about solving problems. You make more money solving problems than anything in the world. You don't have to be a salesman. You just got to be a problem solver in trucking because of this.
Supply and demand didn't go away.
True.
What it did is it become clear, and clear markets move faster. Now let's talk about.
Okay, so explain to me, and again, you have all the data from a year ago. The president comes in and puts tariffs on everything. How'd you predict that? Oh, you can't? You can't predict that. True, you can't predict that. Okay, well, what about storms that come in and wipe out power? Can you predict that? Nope, can't predict that either. Well, so I have all this data, but I have all these possible changes that come in. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. It's not about... I got it. Or no, I don't have it. What's ringing? Why is my phone not showing that's ringing? Oh!
Did you come prepared this morning?
I did not come prepared. I don't know why my phone's ringing. I don't know why my... Oh, I do know why my phone's ringing. Oh, I don't know why that's coming in through this phone. I'll have to turn that off. That's not the right phone. Sorry. I'm like, that's my other phone. Matter of fact, I might have to turn that off. I'm sorry, guys. Jesus Christ, what's going on? That was not this phone. I have a load posted, and my phone is now coming through my computer. So I don't know how to turn that off. I'll have to figure that out. This could be bad. Now people are going to call me for my load. There's a perfect example. I have a load posted for a set amount of money. Now, I hate doing that, but nobody will call me if I don't put that set amount of money. But it's not based on how the lanes... I'm gonna talk about this. Hang on.
About that and sonar.
Okay.
Talk about Bobby Lowe's.
Okay. Hang on. Because he bring it up here.
It tightens. Supply and demand didn't go away. What it did is it become clearer.
It's not clearer. Supply and demand is never clear. We try to know what people are going to buy. We try to keep this consistent to the best that we can. But I now have to know how much customers are going to buy. How many? I also have to know how much the manufacturer can produce. I also need to know how many trucks are going to be heading to that area, how many trucks are going to be leaving that area. These are all monstrous factors. And to try to keep up with it as a leverage point, I'm just being honest with you. I, the freight broker, am not using year-long data as a leverage point with my trucking company. I'm using the truck next to you. I'm using a leverage point of that example right there. Right now, I posted a load. How many emails am I going to get? How many phone calls am I going to get? How consistent? That's my leverage point. Because whatever that right there tells me that my freight, there's more trucks that want my freight than there is that don't, that are calling there. More, either way, you get it.
And clear markets move faster. Now let's talk about that and sonar. You talk about Bobby Lowe's, talk about that, and you using sonar. Yes, drivers can access both of these tools. These are advanced tools that show market trends. That's very, very true. But access is not the same as leverage.
Wait a minute. Okay, so we're going to understand this. Access is not the same as leverage, he's going to say. Now remember, he just said the reason brokers have leverage is because they have access to all of this information that you don't. But now he's saying access is not the same as leverage. Now, why did he say that? Well, he said that because I came out and said, hey, Mr. Trucker, you can get this same feature that I have. We both have it. Now, you have to pay for it, and you have to pay more for the 7-day. You can get sonar, which, if you want to know about a powerful tool, sonar keeps track of everything. Sonar probably keeps track of how many times I use the bathroom a day in regards to how many times I flush the toilet. So I basically stopped flushing the toilet just to confuse sonar. No, that's not true. But either way, I'm just letting you know I'm still using the bathroom. I'm just not flushing the toilet. Or am I? You figure it out, sonar. Anyways, I brought to him that you have powerful tools you can use also. Now, he says, I'm going to back this up.
talking about Bobby Lowe's talking about that, and you using sonar. Yes, drivers can access both of these tools. These are advanced tools that show market trends. That's very true. But access is not the same as leverage.
Okay, please explain.
And here's the simplest way for me to put this out there to people so they can understand this.
Okay.
Let's say this. Two people can see the same weather forecast.
Okay, two people seeing the same weather forecast. I'm with you.
They know it's going to rain tomorrow.
They know it's going to rain tomorrow. Got it. They both have the same knowledge. Got it.
But if one person owns a small backyard garden and that other person owns a 10,000 acres of farmland.
Okay, both of them have bigger farm. Like one guy's a backyard and one guy's the other one. Okay.
They don't use that forecast the same way. The larger farmer is going to move his equipment. He's going to adjust his workers. There's going to be shift planning. There's going to be he's going to protect millions of dollars of an investment. The backyard gardener, he might just bring the lawn chairs inside. He just
that makes no sense. Is anybody understanding this reference?
I'm lost.
Okay.
I'm lost.
If I have knowledge and I have a farm and he has knowledge and he has a larger farm, are we going to use it the same way? Yes. Just because you're bringing in farm equipment that you have, because I don't know how the farm equipment got added to this scenario, because you have farm equipment that you bring in, I'm using the information the same way. Now, I don't have farm equipment. I have lawn chairs. We both brought in stuff because of the information that we did. So I don't know how this changes everything. Yes, we did both use the information that we both got the same way. You used it to bring in your farm equipment. I used it to bring in my lawn chairs. Now, so I don't know, I don't understand how this works.
might say, well, it's going to rain, whatever. Same information, different leverage, and that's what we're saying.
Same information. There's no leverage there. So it's you brought in what you own, your farm equipment. I brought in what I own, my lawn chairs. We did the same thing. Am I wrong on that? Right? Like, what we brought in was different because we own different shit. But we did the same thing. You used the report to bring in your shit. I used the report to bring in my shit.
Are you still talking about the toilet, or are we talking about the farm?
No, I've already passed the toilet. I passed the toilet. I'm on the farm now. But good catch on the shit portion of the conversation. Way to focus on that one. That was good. Good job on that one. All right.
Seeing a rate board is not the same as running a system that tracks a full year of lane history, rejection rates, dwell averages, cancellation patterns, seasonal cycles. That's not just data. That's structured decision making.
No, seeing the load board is real-time leverage. That's real time. That's happening right now, today, this very second. That's better than a year. That's why you pay more for the 7-day average than you do the 30-day average. Because real time is more leverage. How many trucks are there right now is more leverage. How much loads are paying right now is better. You literally have better leverage than me if I'm only collecting a year's worth of data. Or 2 years worth of data, or 3 years worth of data. Because you have real time right now. Plus you have a truck, which I don't have, right? So you're leveraging right now information that is more powerful. It's more powerful than my year-long, 10-year. I can have all that data and walk in and be like, yeah, but you realize right now, today, there are 17 loads going to that same area paying twice the amount that your data tells you it should pay. Now what? Who wins? I don't. The freight broker doesn't. I will never, ever, ever, ever win that situation if you have real-time load board data that you can see loads are paying $4 a mile right now, and I have year-long data that I say, well, technically, and this happens all the time. Like a freight broker will come to you and say, well, this lane should be paying $1.50 a mile. Where are you getting that from? Well, the 30-day average. Yeah, but right now, I'm looking at loads right now that are paying $2.50 a mile. So I ain't hauling that shit for $1.50. Who wins? Who wins? Truck driver.
I always thought the 7-day average was old to me.
Oh, shit, yeah. You want real time. You want load board average.
Exactly.
You're empty now, and what's the freight paying right now? Do you want to know how I know this? Let me explain to you how this is how his collection. Freight will pay more money end of the day, end of the week, end of the month. So the freight rates literally change by the end of the day. They could start off the day at $1.50 a mile, but by the end of the day, that could be $3 a mile. So what is your year-long data dashboard going to tell you then? Nothing, because it's dynamic, not static.
Leverage comes from structure.
Leverage comes from structure. No. Lever comes from not having somewhat of structure. Because if it's structure, you're going to do it for this rate, right? It's when we lose structure, meaning this load should be a consistent load that we do all the time. That's the structure of it. Now it becomes a hot load because the receiver's out of product. We've lost structure. Now there's more leverage for me to get that coverage. I go to my shipper. I'm like, you need to ship today? Yeah. Well, normally I need 7 days to schedule a truck. Yeah, but they need this by tomorrow. Let's say it can't deliver by tomorrow. But they need this by tomorrow, and it needs to be there 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, yeah, but it's fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you close at 3. I got to get a truck in there in an hour. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye structure. Hello, leverage. Because now I can be like, okay, here we go. You pay more to mail something next day air with UPS, FedEx, or Postal Service because it has to be there because there's no structure and it's got to get there now than you do if you just put a stamp on it and wait for 7 days. Leverage isn't structure. Leverage is the loss of structure. That is your most leverage point.
Structure plus money, structure plus scale, structure plus time. And you know this.
No, I don't. I don't know it. Because loss of structure, loss of consistency. Hey, we're shipping this every week. Well, why is this one got to go? Shit broke, and they need it now. Oh, the last load we shipped was the wrong order, and we need this. We get this one now because we have a performance clause, and we got to get it there now. Meaning yesterday. Meaning yesterday. Oh shit. Here we go. What's it? What? I don't care what it pays. Just get it there. Just do the best you can. Okay. You know how many phone calls I've gotten like that? Lots. Most of my phone calls are like that.
Now, I don't even want to go into a lot about COVID, but let's talk.
That's fair, because COVID was, and he's going to talk about
this
that
real quick. COVID wasn't normal. Demand exploded. Inventory panic buying went wild. Ports backed up, money flooded the system, capacity tightened, the rates shot up.
True, all that. People gave money, all that. True.
That was a shock event. That wasn't how freight normally behaves.
True.
And we're not even analyzing crisis spikes. We're talking about normal markets because leverages show up in normal markets, not during a once-in-a-generation chaos.
No, leverages show up in chaos and in normal markets. Leverage it's there. There's always leverage. Somebody will always have some type of leverage, or they'll find a way to find leverage.
Let's bring it down to something that's really real.
Okay.
If a warehouse averages 4 hours of wait time.
All right. 4 hours of wait time.
And this has happened thousands of times. It's not random, okay? That's predictable.
Okay. True. I'll give them that. So right now we've got a warehouse averages 4 hours of wait time. Happened thousands of times. It becomes predictable. Got it.
If it's predictable, it gets priced. Drivers feel it as frustration. The system.
It gets priced. Okay? But we're pricing it in.
The system sees it as data. If the other side.
Hang on, let me back this up.
Of times, it's not random, okay? That's predictable.
Okay.
If it's predictable, it gets priced. Drivers feel it as frustration. The system sees it as data. If the other side already knows what's likely going to happen and you're negotiating like it's a surprise, that's not equal footing. Not
equal footing. Well, nobody has equal footing in business, just so you know. I don't have equal footing with my customer. So let's throw equal footing out, because that would be socialism or communism. Well, not communism so much. That would be socialism. So there's no equal footing. Let's throw that out. That's negotiating in bad faith, to be honest. That's not leverage. That's negotiating in bad faith. I know this is going to take 4 hours to load. because there's been thousands of times, and I realize that. I don't tell you that, and I just expect you not to get paid for that. That's not leverage. That's negotiating in bad faith. That's not even the same thing. Am I wrong? That's not the same thing, in my opinion. I don't see it as leverage, to be honest. Bad broker, I'm thinking.
Not because someone's evil, but because someone has more historical memory stored. And
no, it's because somebody's. It's not that I have more. It's not because of the debt. Okay. It's not the fact that I know this is going to happen. It's the fact that I don't tell you and don't inform you. That's, I don't know about evil. I consider evil Epstein files. But I consider bad faith, bad broker, scumbag broker. But I don't consider that evil.
Stored memory is the leverage.
That's not leverage. That's not leverage. Just so you know. That's not a leverage point, to be completely honest. Because you should be getting detention pay after 2, right? And if I don't pay that detention point after 2, there's just a whole bunch of other shit to that. So I don't see this as a good comparison, to be honest.
We talked about how mega carriers mostly run on contract freight. Small operators mostly run on spot or overflow freight.
Okay.
Those are very different environments.
True.
Contract freight is negotiated ahead of time. Spot freight, it reacts daily.
True.
If we compare them without context, it looks very unfair.
No, doesn't look unfair at all, to be honest. It looks different, but not unfair, to be honest. Well, let me see.
But it's not about unfair. It's about structure. Different tiers, different risk, different leverage. And here...
Oh, okay. See, that right there is my phone. All right. Oh, I gotta push the button here. Hang on.
To accept, press 1.
I'm gonna accept this second. Okay. Hey, thank you for calling the Sage Outcast Leverage Show. How may I indirectly direct your leverage your call?
Hi, Sage. Yeah, I was trying to say in the comments that we usually go from Lyman, Colorado, through the arm of Oklahoma. You probably know this route very well.
Do the Panhandle, yeah.
And we go to Wheeler, Texas. Huh? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Panhandle, 287. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we go from Wheeler east all the way to Oklahoma City. That's exactly what my wife did and my sister-in-law just did yesterday. Hardly any. This is where you basically just get ran over by all of these trucks because that's the quick old route where these drivers do, where you can go from here to Wheeler, Texas to pretty much Albuquerque, and you can go west, or just like what my sister-in-law and my wife did, you can go east. Hardly any trucks on the road, they said yesterday. Usually you just get pretty much ran over by these big trucks that, I mean, especially through that arm through Oklahoma, where there's pretty much not a speed limit, you know. But
right.
Yeah, she said there was hardly any trucks on the road yesterday. I just wanted to let you know that real quick.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in. There's another guy covering a little bit of that too I want to talk about also, but I do appreciate you calling in on that.
Yeah.
All
right. Yeah, I was sick, so I couldn't call you for a while there, but
yeah, no problem.
I'm back, so I'll try to give you my 60 seconds.
Yeah, no problem.
All right,
Thanks for calling in.
Dave.
All right. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to ring. All right. Let me see this. Where am I at?
And I really want to talk about this. If a large fleet sees rates dropping, they can shift their lane.
One more time.
The real difference.
Okay.
And I really want to talk about this.
Okay.
If a large fleet sees rates dropping, they can shift their lanes. They can lean on contracts. They can spread their risk across hundreds of trucks. If a single truck sees rates drop, that guy has still got truck payments, insurance, fuel, and bills at home.
Well, so does the other guy, right? Like, both companies have truck payments. Both companies have, I mean, you can say that guy has bills at home, fuel, mortgage, all that stuff. But the mega carrier still has employees, taxes, fuel, truck payments, maintenance. They both have bills. So I don't kind of know where you're going with this. And if a mega carrier is using sonar like a small carrier can if they'd like, because both carriers can use sonar. Both carriers can get the weather report, right? Both carriers can decide how they want to use that weather report. That's what I'm trying to explain. But if the mega carrier moves to do, loses lanes or loses things, it could also take. We're seeing mega carriers or large carriers going out of business just as much. Where a mega carrier might go out before a solo driver because that solo independent driver might have less overhead, right? He might not have an apartment. Like I lived in my truck for a year. I didn't have a mortgage. When I left the Coast Guard, I went over the road and we lived in the truck for a year, me and my wife. And my 4 cats and a Rottweiler. I mean, that's almost a Netflix special right there. So, shut up, all of you backstage. I'm just saying they're gonna make me make a song about that. I know it. I already know they're gonna make me make a song about that. Anyways, but so this is, you might have less overhead if you can keep your numbers down, right? So I don't kind of know where you're going.
Information alone doesn't fix that. That's leverage.
No, what's leverage? Why do you keep calling everything leverage?
Shift their lanes. They can lean on contracts. They can spread their risk across hundreds of trucks. If a single truck sees rates drop, that guy has still got truck payments, insurance, fuel, and bills at home. Information alone doesn't fix that.
Information alone doesn't fix that. True.
That's leverage.
But that's the carrier, the big carrier might have leverage because they can shift lanes, but the solo guy might have leverage because he's got less bills. His cost by the mile might be $1.50, where the mega carrier might be $1.65 because they have payroll, right? And other things. So or brick and mortar, or I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out. I don't see that as both sides have a leverage point. I'm a smaller brokerage. I don't have the overhead as a big brokerage. So I don't have large payrolls. There are times I can, if I needed to get into a customer, I might be able to lower my cost to get into a customer where somebody else can't. Or somebody else might be able to, because they have multiple streams of revenue, they can lower themselves to break even or at a loss, and I can't. There's both leverage points both ways.
Big fleets absorb volatility. Small operators feel it directly.
No, I think both of them feel it directly, but you just said one absorbs it. I think they both have to absorb it. Big fleets can absorb it one way, and small operators can absorb it another way.
That's structure. Now let's talk about something.
That's not structure. That's the opposite of structure, because you just said volatility. So that's okay.
Said that I actually agree with.
Okay.
If a carrier has worked with you for 2 years, you've delivered on time, you communicated well, didn't cancel, didn't create problems, that carrier earned trust. Trust reduces risk. Reduced risk should earn better freight.
Yes. I talked about this with the contractor. If I'm a general contractor and one of my guys got to take off because he's going to Burger King and he might not come back after that. And then I might have to hire a guy. If I have to hire a guy, but most of my guys are making $30 an hour, and I don't even know if you can swing a hammer right. I'm probably not going to pay you $30 an hour. I might only pay you 15 because you're a new guy. Let's see what you can do. And if you stick around, I might bring you back. And next thing you know, you're now on the payroll, because the guy won't eat at Burger King and he's going to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I fire him because of that. And then you're replacing him. You might be at $30 an hour.
That's fair. But here's the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Today, that trust isn't just a handshake. It's tracked on time.
It was never just a handshake.
Earn trust. Trust reduces risk. Reduced risk should earn better freight. That's fair.
Yeah.
But here's the bigger picture.
Okay.
Today, that trust isn't just a handshake.
Yeah, it was never a handshake. It was a rate a signed contract. That's not how we do business in logistics, by a handshake.
It's tracked. On-time percentage, tracking compliance.
Everything's tracked. Everything's tracked now. Both sides, everything's tracked. You should be tracking. I should be tracking. So
claims, cancellation rates, that performance becomes a digital record, and digital records become preference. So when we talk about loyalty, or when you're talking about loyalty, it's often performance scoring over time. So what is that? That's leverage.
No, that's consistency. If I go to a mechanic and this mechanic has always done a good job, always found the problem, always charged me a consistent rate, able to get me in when he said he was going to get me in, able to get the truck out when he says he was going to get the truck out, had parts in there, and I just kept track of this. That's not a leverage point. That's bringing value. That's not leverage. Like, would you say that the mechanic has leverage over me, or that I have leverage over the mechanic because he does good? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, make that make sense. If I were to take truck driver out and put mechanic in, would you say that I have leverage over the mechanic because I kept track of the invoices and how much money he charged me? Do you feel that I would have leverage over him? And that's leverage? No, it's not leverage.
The longer you operate inside a system, the stronger your position becomes. That's not wrong. But it does mean new carriers start lower in the system. That's structure.
I don't know what brother, you're using words that I don't think you know the definition of the meaning of the words. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but that's your statement right here.
Preference. So when we talk about loyalty, or when you're talking about loyalty, it's often performance scoring over time.
Performance scoring over time, correct. Services scored over time, correct. Performance services, got it.
So what is that? That's leverage.
That's not leverage. Again, I don't have leverage over the mechanic. I might have leverage over the mechanic, and I'm willing to pay, and he needs work. But down here, I had to wait a month to get my truck fixed, and it didn't matter how much I was going to pay. He had more cars ahead of me. So I didn't have any leverage over him. Supply and demand did. Okay.
The longer you operate inside a system, the stronger your position becomes.
The longer you operate inside a system, the longer it becomes. Not in logistics. I have been with companies for 10 years, and if their company's no longer functioning as profitable as it used to, they start to try to find ways to get costs down. And I might be one of their costs that they just don't want to pay anymore. So I could have been there for 12 years, but TQL's now willing to come in and do it cheaper. And because TQL's now willing to come in and do it cheaper, doesn't matter how long I've been there.
That's not wrong, but it does mean new carriers start lower in the system.
And it does mean that new carriers start lower in the system. Yes. Yes.
That's structure.
It's not structure per se. I wouldn't consider that structure, because if you're a new carrier, you have no structure. Okay, so let me see if I can get this straight. And I think this is where the problem also lies. And this might hurt some of your feelings, but I'm going to go over this. So when you come into the freight market and you come into the trucking industry, you buy a truck. Let's say you buy a trailer, or you win it in a lottery. I don't know what type of lottery you'd be winning that in, but it's not a lottery. Either way, you buy a truck, you get your stuff, and you enter in. You enter into the market. I'm going to be honest with you. 95% of the time, you are entering into a market and you have no customers. You have none. You literally just walked into a business with no customers. Now, that's like buying a lawnmower and not having any lawns to cut and just driving up. You can do it, but you ain't got a lot of leverage, right? Because you have no customers. You've now entered, your business model was, I buy truck, I buy trailer, I buy insurance. Now what? That's your business model. Now there is an opportunity for you to be able to make money in that situation. It's weird, it's odd, but we have that here in trucking. You can now get on the spot market where someone else has taken the time to bring customers to you through a load board. Now, when you get your own numbers, that is not what getting your own numbers is supposed to be for. It is not the best decision to leave that source of your income in the hands of others. Meaning, you have numbers, you can go get your own direct freight. You can get your own direct customers. You don't need me. You don't need a freight broker. Now, most people are going to be like, oh yeah, but they have all the freight. You can find small customers, farmers, small businesses, and you can go door knocking. Okay? But you chose to enter with no customers no sales force, no marketing team, because it was provided to you by someone else. That's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. So you come in and you use the power of the MC number, the power of your DOT number, which allows you to go direct to customers, but you don't do that, and you go into private. And then you say, I should have the same amount of leverage but you've already walked in, you've already come into the industry with no leverage. Matter of fact, with very little leverage, because you have all this debt, but you have no income. Somebody else is now controlling that income because you've decided to do this without going and getting your own income, seeking out your own customers. Now, I had a freight brokerage before I had my trucking company because I had direct customers. That way it was easier for me to put my freight on my trucks, but I didn't do it the other way around. I built a sales company and a marketing company, a freight brokerage, and then seeked out carriers, got customers, and then seeked out carriers to provide this. And that, right? So when you're looking at this from a leverage point of view, you're already starting on a bad leverage footing because you're now hoping that someone else will trust you with absolutely no idea if you're even good at what you do, or your equipment's going to hold up, or you even know what you're doing, right? So the spot market, although was not built or designed to be the only place you're supposed to get freight, lots and lots and lots of carriers are now using that as the only way to get freight. They don't have their own direct customers. They're not seeking out their direct customers. They're not looking to grow their company in any way, shape, or form. They're using somebody else's sales force to do something that they should be doing themselves. Now, you might not be able to. Some people can't sell. I get that. But the problem is that would you say that that's leverage? And if it is leverage, you walked into that leverage. You literally walked into the teeter-totter knowing it was not balanced. And you're like, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it. And I'm going to do my best to try to pull that thing back so that the teeter-totter becomes more and more and more and more. But the problem is that it's not designed for that. So when I see this, that it's like, I'm keeping all this data and that's leverage and things like that. You remember, you came in as a one truck owner operator into a system that specifically you came in without any leverage. You came in owing money on trucks, maybe or maybe not, but you had no sales force to bring money in. Most of the businesses do it the other way around. They find something that people will pay for, and then they say, I'm going to open up my own. Hey, if I end up getting this, would you end up paying me to solve that problem? Sure. But you're entering into a spot market that trucks are already here, and you're competing against the rail, and you're competing against contracted carriers who have been here for years, and you're competing against the guy next to you.
And if you don't understand how you're being scored, you can't improve leverage.
You don't need to, wait a minute.
System, the stronger your position becomes. That's not wrong. But it does mean new carriers start lower in the system.
Yes.
That's structure. And if you don't understand how you're being scored, you can't improve leverage.
No, you wouldn't be improving leverage. You are told how you're being scored. You're being scored by everything you just said. No carrier you shouldn't be coming into this business not knowing how to be better at your job. Like, who would come into this and be like, well, I don't know how I'm being scored? Well, do you show up on time? Is that important? Yes. Do you show up at all? Why, is that important? Yes. Do you do what you say you're going to do? Is that important? Yes. Do you have a truck and a trailer that can haul the freight without braking? Oh, I got to do that too? Yes. Like, nobody's not coming into this industry not knowing how you're being scored in regards to doing your job, right? Is that a thing? Because if that's a thing, we're in deep, deep trouble. If you don't know how to be better at providing a trucking logistical service to either a broker or a shipper, you shouldn't have you're in way too soon. You should be taking a business course. You should be watching way more videos. Like, that's not a thing, right, bro? That can't be a thing.
And let me say this also.
Okay.
We're going to do a full video on tools drivers can use to build leverage. We're going to break all that down. And thank you for asking us to do that, because
Yes, because you have leverages.
we will.
Okay.
What data actually matters? What tools are going to be useful? How to think smarter about your lanes, how to protect yourself better is great. But before tools, you need to understand something. And all these apps doesn't create leverage. Once you understand the system, you stop.
Wait a second. What?
How to think smarter about your lanes, how to protect yourself better is great. But before tools, you need to understand something. And all these apps doesn't create leverage. Once you understand the system, you stop reacting emotionally.
Wait, if it creates it for me, why doesn't it create it for them? Like, you literally just told me that all of my data and my dashboard creates leverage, but all of the apps for the drivers doesn't. I don't understand that.
How to protect yourself better is great. But before tools, you need to understand something. And all these apps doesn't create leverage. Once you understand the system.
Maybe that was a bad cut. Maybe something else was supposed to go there, because that statement doesn't make sense.
You stop reacting emotionally and you start positioning yourself strategically.
Yes.
So yes, supply and demand still rule, but supply and demand inside a fully tracked, fully recorded, fully measured system behaves differently than it did 20 years ago.
No, it actually doesn't. You know what the funny part about trucking? No, it doesn't. That's the best part of trucking. It doesn't. Real time, real need wins every time. That's the best part. I can track 20 years of trucking. 20 years of trucking. And anybody who does that will tell you they still can't predict trucking. They still can't predict rates. Rates are crazy. Can't predict it. That's the best part. That's the wild part. Find somebody, find the freight nerd on X. Oh, I know what's going on now. That is not the phone numbers I want. I'm going to turn this one off. That is for my load. So I'll probably have to go soon. So let me turn the phone off here. That's the best part. And he's almost done.
This isn't about attacking brokers. It's not.
No, and I didn't take it as attacking brokers, to be completely honest. I'm taking it as we need to better educate, understand that the leverage perspectives that you were bringing just aren't true.
About attacking drivers. It's about awareness.
Exactly. It's not about attacking drivers. I want you guys to be better at negotiating. I want you guys to be better at understanding business. I don't want you going out of business. I want you to stay in business.
Yes, because awareness creates leverage, and leverage determines who survives long term. If you watch this video and came back here, thank you, because now you've heard both sides. That's how industries mature. True. And this is leverage week, so it worked out great for us. We're training, so this is how we do it here at Big Rig Nation.
Absolutely. And I've marked, I even hyped this on my phone. I've marked this as a like video, and I put great video, and he's responded. He just said he's out of the office training. But 100%. Again, I'm not attacking him. I just think that we have two different perspectives in regards to this. And we have to, this is deeper than just this one point of view. About the love double. Yeah, I'll get to you. But I appreciate you guys being here. I do got to duck out of here. It is 10 o'clock. Go show. This is Big Rig Nation. Go subscribe to him. Also, please hit the like, share this out. I appreciate it. And I'm going to duck out of here. See ya. I got to go.
Hear the echoes in the night sky, where stars and headlights entwine. Tales of diesel and determination, living life beyond the white line.
On a desert stretch where silence roars, tires hum a solemn tune. Every journey writes its saga in the glow of the highway moon.
Sage outcast, sports hat, where the big lows, big roads